guys, welcome back to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel called Real Sweden. So today I'm going to be talking about something that has been on my mind for a while, and one of the reasons why I'm making this video is because 2 weeks ago I was in California and I really talked about this thing a lot, and it's about the judicial system of a country. And if you know, I live in Sweden, and when I was in California, I met some few people that we talked a lot about the American judicial system and how they handle black people and the kind of things that's very common. That it's very common that a black person can get trapped in the American judicial system. And as a black person like myself that live in Sweden, when you really tell people out there that it's very common that a black person too can get trapped in the Swedish judicial system, or a migrant or a refugee, people be like, what, Janet, are you kidding me? In Sweden? Because we know the kind of image that Sweden has out there. They've been seen as one of these best European countries, one of these perfect European countries. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm making out this video today, because most often when I tell stories like, oh, it's very common that somebody can get trapped in the Swedish system, or it's very common that people get trapped in the Swedish system, especially black people or people of color or migrants or refugees, people be like, how? Like, Swedish system. And so today's video I'm going to be talking about my autistic brother that is trapped in the Swedish judicial system. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, because I've made a lot of videos where I've talked about his case, I've talked about Sweden, the Swedish racism, the Swedish integration, a lot of videos like that. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, I'm going to recommend that you should go watch them, because I'm going to be doing a lot of reference to my previous videos. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, you might have a little bit of confusion, or you might not really understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to recommend that if you haven't watched my previous videos, you should watch them, so you're going to understand what I'm trying to say, or what I'm going to be saying here, because you might get a little bit confused. So I'm just saying, if you haven't watched them, just go watch them, so it's gonna be easier for you to understand this video. And so guys, yeah, that is it. So today I'm gonna be talking about my autistic brother Emmanuel. So my autistic brother, he was diagnosed in 2013 in Sweden that he has severe autism, and he lived like in quite some different group homes in Sweden. And one of these group homes that he lived in 2014, his finger got knifed by a Swedish boy called Frederick. And when the incident happened, when the incident happened, first of all, this is what they told my mom. They said Emmanuel knifed himself, which my mom was like, is he depressed? Why would he knife his finger? Why would he try to knife himself? So my mom sat down with my brother and tried to talk to him. I was like, what happened, Emmanuel? And he said he got into a misunderstanding with the Swedish boy that was living in the group home with him, and the boy picked up a knife and then came and then knifed his finger. And my mom was pissed because she felt like the group home did nothing, or the people did not do anything, or they were not truthful about the incident. So she decided to press charges. So she took the case up to the Swedish courts. And when she took the case up to the Swedish courts, they said they're going to put down the case because Emmanuel doesn't have the psychological capacity to come to court because he has severe autism. So they are not going to pick up the case. They are not going to look into the case. They're just going to drop the case. So the case was dropped. So in 2018, I think it was beginning of May, my mom gets a letter from the Swedish police station that some Swedish police officers are suing my brother based on an incident that happened on the 6th and on the 9th of February 2018. And they are suing Emmanuel, claiming that Emmanuel resisted them, Emmanuel fought them, and Emmanuel emotionally tortured them when they were called, when Emmanuel had a meltdown in a public place. Because Emmanuel had a meltdown in a shopping mall, I think. That's what happened. And then the police were called. And then when the police arrived, they teased him. They sprayed him with pepper spray. They handcuffed him. They took him into custody. And then they released him in the evening. So my mom was pissed about the whole thing because she felt like Emmanuel has a security number in Sweden, and if you put his security number, you know that he has severe autism. So why would they do all that drama? Why would they act all that drama? So why my mom is trying to build up a case against them? Because she's trying to look for a lawyer to try to build up a case, because she felt like the police officers did not handle my brother rightly. We get a letter beginning of May that the Swedish police officers, they're instead suing my brother for resisting them, for fighting them, and for emotionally torturing them. So their emotional torture, they want compensation in a financial way. So they want Emmanuel to pay them close to 15,000 Swedish crowns. And the Swedish courts in Sweden, in Stockholm, they have picked up the case. So my mom was like, why would the courts pick up the case? Because if she can remember vividly back then in 2014 when she filed a complaint when my brother's finger was knifed by a Swedish boy in one of his group homes where he lived, the Swedish court said Emmanuel doesn't have the psychological capacity to come to court and defend himself because he has severe autism. So how come now in 2018, Swedish police officers are filing a complaint against my brother and the Swedish courts are picking it up? And so 15th of January 2019, my brother is going to be summoned to the Swedish court. So when we get into the court, I think the court hearing is going to be almost for like 2 hours or so. And after that, they're going to adjourn the case. And then on 16th of January 2019, I will get a call saying that my dad, he's dead. So what happened is that my dad got hit by a bike around 4:30, and then he was rushed to the hospital around 5 o'clock, where he died at the hospital. So myself and my mom and my brother would love to travel to Cameroon so we can bury him, because my dad doesn't live in Sweden, he lives in Cameroon. So my mom would talk to the people that are in charge in my brother's case. So she tried to tell them that Emmanuel's dad is dead and it's good that the boy should go at least to bury his dad. And this is what the Swedish court or the Swedish people are going to tell my mom. Becky, Emmanuel has a pending case in the Swedish system, so we cannot allow Emmanuel to leave Sweden because he has a pending case. And the pending case, and when you have a pending case in Sweden, you're not allowed to leave the country. You have to wait until your case is being judged. So they feel like if Emmanuel leaves Sweden, Emmanuel might not come back to Sweden. And she's like, I have doctor's reports that are saying that his dad is dead. We're not like faking it, or we're not trying to take him to Cameroon. His dad is actually dead. So can he go and bury his dad? They'll be like, no, Becky, it doesn't work like that. Emmanuel has a pending case. Sorry, he cannot be in the burial of his dad. So myself and my mom would travel all the way to Cameroon to bury my dad. So when we get back after the burial on the 14th of March 2019, they will officially judge Emmanuel as a criminal, and then he'll have to pay 15,000 Swedish crowns to those police officers for their emotional torture that the police officers were complaining about. And I'm gonna be in shock. My mom's gonna be in shock. My family were gonna be in shock. And the reason why we are in shock is because this was a boy that his finger was knifed back then in 2014, and those same courts are punishing him today because he's still taking his punishment. They said Emmanuel doesn't have the psychological capacity to come to court because he has severe autism, so they're going to put down his case. And they never paid him a dime when his finger was knifed. They never did anything. They did nothing. They did not even look into the case. They never even brought him to court. They did nothing. They just made the case look like it wasn't a big deal that a white boy took a knife towards a black boy and knifed the black boy's finger. It wasn't like, what is the big deal that Frederick had to take a knife towards my brother's, took a knife to my brother and knifed my brother's finger. And then all of a sudden, 4 years later now, the Swedish courts are punishing him for having a meltdown in a public place, and Swedish police officers are called, and he resisted those Swedish police officers. And one of the reasons why I'm telling you guys this story is that, like I said, when I was in California, when I tell people that Sweden, a lot of black people, a lot of migrants get trapped in the Swedish system, they're like, are you kidding me, Jenna? This is not true. And we're seeing an instance right here that is happening, that a black autistic boy is trapped in the Swedish system because he is currently taking his punishment. And it's almost a year now, because it was in 2019 when they judged him in March that he was a criminal. And if you go now, this is 2020, and we're in March 2020, and we're seeing that he is still taking his punishment for his crime. And why I'm making this video is that I want people to understand that a lot of black people, a lot of refugees, a lot of migrants, they get trapped in the Swedish system like this. Because my family, we are still fighting to get him out of the so-called crime that the Swedish government said he committed. And when you see things like this, or when people like myself that we live in Sweden, when we tell stories like this, people feel like, oh, really, Janet, in Sweden, do people really go through this? I'm like, yeah, a lot of people go through this. And if you see my brother's story, if you see the whole thing, you see how the Swedish judicial system works. You see how they deny a black autistic boy justice when his finger was knifed by their people, the Swedish boy Frederick. And then when their people decide to sue the black autistic boy, what happens? They pick up the case and then they call him a criminal, and they even tell him to pay emotional torture compensation and a financial compensation that's close to 15,000 Swedish crowns. But when his finger was knifed, the Swedish government didn't pay my family anything. They didn't pay him anything. They didn't even look into the case. They just dropped the case like it wasn't any big deal. It wasn't a problem. And one of the reasons why I'm saying this, or one of the reasons why I'm making all this video, is because we don't hear stories like this about Sweden, or we don't see videos like this about Sweden. But let me tell you something, there are a lot of people that are trapped in the Swedish system like this. There are a lot of people that are being held like this in the Swedish system. A lot of people, a lot of migrants, a lot of black people, a lot of refugees. And I'm just going to say this, if this video really did help you to understand the Swedish judicial system, if this video really made you to understand how the Swedish judicial system works or how the Swedish courts work, I would love for you to comment, share. And if you want me to make more videos about Sweden, if there's anything on your mind, something that you feel like, oh Janet, I would love for you to address that has to do with Sweden, or that's always been on my mind, that I always wanted to know about Swedish people, you can put it down in the comment section, because I would love to talk about it. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, which I'm gonna say this, it's good that you go watch them, because I've talked a lot about the Swedish racism in my previous videos. I've talked about Swedish integration. I've talked again more about my family's case with the Swedish system. So I've talked a lot about a lot of things. So if you really want to know so much about Sweden, or if you're really interested in learning a lot about Sweden, or you want to know about the Swedish people, how they portray black people, or how black people that live in Sweden, what kind of system do we live in, you can watch my previous videos. I've talked a lot about it. And so guys, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.